call upon Suvarna and Smriti for the invocation song.
Smarami Mahaganapatim Smarami Vasishta Vamadevadi Pandita Mahaganapatim Smarami Mahadeva Sutam Guru Guhanutam Mahadeva Sutam Guru Guhanutam Muti Prakasham Shantam Mahakavya Natakadipriyam Mahakavya Natakadipriyam Mushikavahana Modakapriyam Mahaganapatim Manasa Smarami Mahaganapatim Manasa Smarami.
I request our Professor Dinesha to deliver the welcome speech.
Artha Kamagalu, Anke Kedalu, Dharmada Udaya, Dharmavu Jeevanada Marmavadu. This observation is made by the noted Kannada poet Padma Shri P.G. Narasimhachar, affectionately known as Putina. The meaning of the stanza is Dharma, that's value system, came into existence to keep wealth and desire under control. A value system is the secret behind a happy life. Let the above thoughts guide our actions in the tense present to reach a bright and sustainable future. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is in the spirit of this message that I, on behalf of the chairman, members of the governing body, director, faculty, staff, students, and alumni of IIIT-B, welcome our chief guest, Dr. G. Madhavan Nair, chairman, Space Commission and Secretary, Department of Space, Government of India. We heartily welcome you, sir. And our guest of honor, Shri Ashok Soota, Executive Chairman, Mindtree. We heartily welcome you, sir. I now welcome Shri N.R. Narayan Murthy, the Chairman of the Board of IIIT-B and Chairman, Chief Mentor of Infosys, and the members of the board and our director, Professor S. Sadagopan. It's also my pleasure to welcome the CEOs and executives of IT companies, officials of the Government of Karnataka, members of the academia, graduating students and their families, the press, and other invitees. I request our chief guest, guest of honor, chairman governing body, the director, and 2 students to kindly light the lamp.
Good morning. Chief guest of the day, Dr. Madhavan Nair, Chairman, Indian Space Research Organization and Secretary, Department of Space. Guest of honor of the day, Mr. Ashok Soota, Executive Chairman and Founder, Mindtree Consulting. Chairman of IIIT-B Governing Council, Mr. N.R. Narayan Murthy. Other members of the governing body, my distinguished faculty colleagues, fellow academics from sister institutes, my dear students, parents of our students, alumni, staff, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 9th Convocation of IIIT-B. It's a moment of joy when 131 students graduate. Let me first congratulate the class of 2009 students. I do not want to stand in the way of our students getting their degrees, yet it is customary to present some highlights please permit me to do so. Nearly 80 of our MTech students of the 129 who are graduating today have been placed, though the official placement started only on July 1. In all the previous years, all but a handful of our students would have been placed on the day of convocation. IIIT-B will continue to work hard till the last student is placed. Our friends from industry who have supported us all along, more so in the difficult year, deserve a big hand indeed. We introduced a new honors list called the Director's Merit List to recognize those students who get a CGPA of more than 3.75 out of 4. The campus construction is in full swing. You probably see it physically. We are adding about 50% additional space on the academic building by adding 1 floor to the 2-floor structure and 25% in terms of hostel space. In closing, institution building is an act of faith, but for the trust-based relationships between the governing body and the executive, IIIT-B would not be what it is today. We look forward to such continued support from the management and from all sections, faculty, students, staff, alumni, funding agencies, government and industry. With this, let me once again thank you all who have contributed to our short yet successful journey of graduating 9 batches of outstanding students. Congratulations to the graduating batch and welcome you and thank you again.
Thank you, sir. I request our Director, Professor Sadgopan, to kindly seek permission from the Chairman to present the degrees to the students of the graduating class.
I am requesting you to permit us to present the students who are qualified for the degrees. This convocation has been called to confer the degrees upon the candidates who have been certified.
Forward and take the oath.
Registrar is requested to administer the oath. Candidates to stand up and please repeat the Registrar's words.
I hereby solemnly declare and promise that if admitted to the degree for which I have been recommended, I shall in my daily life conduct myself as befits a member of this institute. I shall, to the utmost of my capacity and opportunity, support the cause of sound learning. I shall faithfully and carefully fulfill the duties of the profession to which I may be admitted by virtue of my degree. I shall, on all occasions, maintain its purity and reputation. I shall never deviate from the straight path of honorable conduct. I shall, by my actions, make India legitimately proud of me.
I request our Director to request our Chairman to accept the students who have qualified for the degrees.
Sir, as Director, I have the honor of presenting to you the candidates for the degrees whose names are set out in the list. They have been found qualified for the said degree, to which I pray they may be admitted.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the chairman of the governing body, and upon the recommendations of the Senate of the International Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore, I admit all the qualified candidates to the degrees in information technology.
I request our Chairman, Mr. N.R. Narayan Murthy, to distribute the degrees students.
Thank you, sir. I request our chief guest to kindly give away the medals and prizes to the students.
I request our chairman, Mr. N.R. Narayan Murthy, to sign the register confirming the award of degrees to the graduating students. I now request our chief guest to kindly deliver the convocation address.
My dear Sri Narayana Murthy, Sri Ashok Sudha, Professor Sadagopan, members of the governing body, members of the Senate, esteemed faculty, members of the student communities, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It's my proud privilege to be here with you this morning, participating in this solemn function of the 9th graduation ceremony of this IIIT-B. And I'm really proud to be associated with this institute at this moment. At the outset, let me convey my heartiest congratulations to all of you who have graduated today, and also those students who have really distinguished themselves by receiving the awards. Well, I'm sure that you are all excited and really want to celebrate. I don't want to stand in between this event and the celebrations which is follow. So I would like to limit my remarks to some practical experience which I had gained while working in the Indian Space Research Organization. You must all be aware that the Indian Space Program has really impressed with the launching of a spacecraft to the moon. In fact, it was a great event, not only for the nation, but the entire global community has accepted as a sign of maturity of the Indian Space Program. You have only seen through the media the event which was taking place, traveling all the way up to something like 400,000 kilometers and placing the spacecraft around the moon. But the challenges associated with that were very many. In fact, the 60 trajectory equations which has to be written, it all has to be evolved from the basic physics and the mathematics associated with that. And our team have really deciphered and they put all this into place and run through a large number of simulations. But when you do the simulations, you make many assumptions, especially about the influence coefficients you come across in space. And that has to be validated. So we took a very cautious approach of going step by step towards the moon. From a 22,000 kilometers orbit, we raised to 36,000 kilometers, then to something like 64, and so on. In 5 steps, we arrived there. But during this process, we have validated our software, our assumptions, the course of the spacecraft, and the type of velocities which reach, etc. But at the same time, still we had the anxiety. Nearly in the early phase of the space exploration, about 60% of spacecraft which were sent to the moon, they have crash landed there. Compared to that, to see that the mission is success is a real anxious moment for us. The spacecraft was approaching the moon. It is, mind you, that is nearly 400,000 kilometers away from Earth. And we were having the ice and grills here near Bangalore, to a place called Bailalu, a huge dish antenna with 50 meter diameter with all the tracking, telecommand and control system. They are constantly in touch with the spacecraft and we were watching on the screen. Every instant the spacecraft was accelerating and it was picking up the speed. If the speed exceeds a particular limit, it will simply skim to the moon's gravitational field and go into the deep space and last forever. By any chance, if the direction is a fraction of a degree deviating from what we have want, it will crash down on the surface of the moon. But alas, I think to the ability of our simulations and the controls what we implemented, we could arrive there with a precision of 10 kilometers and turn the course of the spacecraft to the moon very precisely. And the first orbit itself, against about 500 kilometers by 7,500 kilometers around the moon, we have got within about 5 kilometers. So that has been really a highly satisfying moment, which proved that the host of technology associated with the space travel we have proven at once strong. But the story doesn't end there. Last 6 months, it has been an arduous job. 11 instruments have been working on board. One was the Moon Impact Rock. It was released from the main spacecraft and made to impact on the surface of the moon at a planned location. So this carried the Indian national flag, and we have the proud moment of depositing our Indian national flag on the lunar surface on 14th of November. How did we achieve this? If you think back, we had the grand vision of going to the moon. That, of course, it has to be just a dream, cannot exist like that. It has been translated into action plan. Our scientists, who is not only within ISRO, but the entire scientific community in India, debated the issues associated with this and charted out a very clear plan of action. And finally boiled down to making a rocket system which can carry all the way up to the moon, building a spacecraft, and then developing a sophisticated instruments like laser imaging camera, then the 3D imaging camera, hyperspectral imaging camera, and then the mass spectrometer, and a host of instruments to build to the space standards, and then to put them together in a spacecraft. Not only that, we have to have a means of communication, but again, this huge dish antenna with associated servos, the RF systems and the receivers and all has been defined. So with these 3-4 elements put together, we have conceived a project, and the entire activity, if you break down, it comes to something like 30 to 40,000 significant events. All those events are interlinked to make the final event happen. So in every one of these, there are problems, technological challenges, there could be failures, there has to be workaround plan. This all has to be chopped out, and then the entire thing has to be synthesized. So it has been a very fine example of how the technologies, the minds of people, even the working culture, how it could be tuned to achieve such a complex mission. And I'm happy that finally it turned out so good that the time overrun was very little and the cost overrun was practically nil, and perhaps it was the lowest cost mission ever conducted in the world of similar class. In fact, I would say that it was less than, even if you allow for the buying power capacity of the Indian rupee and so on, it is something like 1/3 the cost of that of an international mission, and we have shown to the world that we could do that. If our country, if we take, there are very many problems. In fact, today you may be finding a little bit depressed because the type of boom which we enjoyed through the IT has slightly dampened, but there is no reason for us to really worry about it. The challenges, of course, so far we have been by and large dealing with the type of workload which is coming from outside. But if you look across the country, there are n number of problems we solve. I mentioned about the rural connectivity which is needed, the type of knowledge base which we have to create, how to share this knowledge with the rural populace, how to capture the rural wisdom and the ancient knowledge base which is available with the people widely spread out in the country, and how to consolidate and make it available for solving the practical problems today. You will look around, you will see that in spite of all the prosperity, we have poverty. We have 30% of our population are below the poverty line, and they don't have even a square meal to eat. It all starts from they are not having a proper education, proper training, proper skill development, and even their living conditions are absolutely poor. They don't have drinking water, they don't have proper healthcare system, and all this has to be tackled in an integrated manner. Putting together the tools of IT and the computer technology and the modern research benefits which is coming from the biotechnology, that only can solve the problem. So if you look around, how to target and find solutions to the rural community. That becomes a real challenge. And I'm sure many of you who undertake the entrepreneurship will tackle such things, and that has got a potential to generate a huge volume of tasks and the jobs and the wealth in the country itself. That should be our target. I'm sure the younger generation should really take up such challenges. You have a doyen here, Sri Narendra Modi, who has really shown that how an entrepreneur can start from scratch and build a huge empire. And that's the role model which you have. And I'm really happy that you are in this institute, under his guidance. And I wish you all success in the coming days to take up such challenges. Look around for the problems and try to innovate and try to bring out solutions which are globally competitive, so that for the products and services what you evolve is not only meeting our country's need, but the global needs as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request our guest of honor to please address the gathering.
Dr. Madhavan Nair, Mr. Narayan Murthy, Professor Sadagopan, ladies and gentlemen. It really is a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here today. When Professor Sadagopan asked me to be here, I was particularly delighted because here is a world-class institution which you have created in the space of 10 years, and Mindtree itself is in its 10th year, and I see some sort of feeling of commonality between ourselves. I'd like to congratulate Professor Sadagopan and under the chairmanship of Mr. Narayan Murthy for creating such a world-class system. I'd now like to turn my attention to the graduating class of today. And in the first instance, let me also add my congratulations to you and wish you all the very best in your careers ahead. The one single message I want to convey is that your most important task in life is to fulfill your own potential. You probably think that this means to just achieve success in your careers. Yes, indeed it does. But I also want you to remember that fulfilling your potential is much more than that. It includes your potential to meet challenges, but equally includes your potential for caring, your potential for learning, your potential for sharing, and your potential for helping others. Let me first start with the achievement of success. My experience is that high achievement individuals have high aspirations, they're accountable, and they're action oriented. And high aspirations doesn't mean setting grandiose goals, but setting stretch targets and continuously raising the bar. Accountability means to hold yourself responsible with no excuses for meeting your commitments and being result-oriented. And action orientation requires being quick, decisive, and proactive in anticipating problems. At this stage, let me be somewhat negative and talk about failure. And I want to give you 5 major reasons why, in my experience, managers fail. One of these, in fact, paradoxically pertains to stretch, because I have found that there are quite a few failures due to overstretching and maybe to understretching. Remember that life is not just a marathon, and neither is it a sprint race. It is actually a series of marathons interspersed with multiple sprint races. Prepare yourself for the same, one step at a time. Don't burn the candles at both ends and burn yourself out. The second is fear of failure, and therefore an inability to take appropriate risks. Learn from your successes and your failures. A lot of people will tell you that you have to keep learning from your failures, but how many mistakes would you make? Equally important to learn from your successes, which is what all, I'd say, leaders, champions, you see this in the sports environment in particular. The third is the opposite. Complacency, which due to early success and letting success go to one's head, is putting self before the team and the organization. Remember that it is not necessary for anyone to lose for you to win. And it is possible to be very nice and very successful. It is not necessary to claw your way to the top, but rather be like a cream which floats to the top. Leverage and multiply your own output through your teams. The fourth reason for failure is that persons tend to be either good managers or good leaders, whereas you do need to be both. Too many management gurus, I think, have not management to espouse the leadership cause. Leadership is about vision, it's about motivation, empowerment, and mentoring. Management is about planning, measuring, deciding, and executing. These are not mutually exclusive, and a prerequisite for success is to be both a good manager and a good leader. Finally, the fifth and most important of reasons for failure, I think, is a mismatch between a person's skills and strengths and the requirements of the job. With so much information readily accessible today through the internet and other means, the onus for self-development and learning shifts to the individual, and each of you has to take the responsibility for your continuous and ongoing learning. I mentioned also about your achieving your potential for sharing. Remember that sharing enhances rather than diminishes your interests. It is not a parting with what you possess. It is not about dividing the pie, but increasing the size of the pie. This applies equally to sharing of knowledge, wealth, rewards, and credit for success. The fifth and last aspect of fulfilling your potential applies to helping others. This can be achieved through social responsibility programs, or even just by understanding the other person's needs and supporting that need. When you help others, you maximize your own potential while enabling others to realize theirs. You leave the world a better place than you found it. Let me leave you with a quote from Joel Barker, a famous futurologist, to show how you can shape your own future. A vision without action is just a dream. Action without vision is just passing time. Vision with action can change the world. I wish each one of you success and happiness, and wish that each one of you will fulfill your own potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I request our chairman, Mr. N.R. Narayan Murthy, to address the gathering.
My dear friend, Dr. Madhavan Nair, Chairman ISRO and Secretary, Department of Space, Government of India, my good friend, Mr. Ashok Sudha, Executive Chairman and founder of Mindtree, the Director, my good friend, Professor Shadagopan, faculty, distinguished guests, proud parents, members of the governing body, staff members, graduating students, other students, and alumni. First of all, congratulations to the graduating students. I have no doubt at all that you will continue to succeed as you have demonstrated here today. IIIT-Bangalore, which was founded as the Indian Institute of Information Technology and later got morphed into International Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore, is completing its 10th year in September 2009. It is appropriate that at this point of time, we all salute and give a sound round of applause to Professor Shadagopan, the Director, faculty, and students. At this point of time, I would like to convey my sense of gratitude, of course, on behalf of the Director, the faculty, the staff, and all of you. Extraordinary sense of dedication demonstrated by a few individuals without whom this institute would not have come this far. The first person that I can think of was a minister by the name of Mr. Inamdar. He spent so many hours meeting so many people both in Karnataka and at the center to make sure that you have this wonderful campus. But for his efforts, I don't think we could have done that. There have been, I wish we have more politicians like Mr. Inamdar.
there have been a few extraordinary civil servants who have contributed significantly to this institute. Mr. Vishwanathan, the first chairman of this institute, is one such person. I think we all owe a deep sense of gratitude to him. Mr. Vivek Kulkarni and Mr. Vidya Shankar are two other such bureaucrats. Once again, if this country had majority of such bureaucrats, I can assure you that we would have become a developed country that my friend Dr. Abdul Kalam keeps talking about. And finally, of course, we have had some excellent people on the Board of Governors. Whether it is Mr. Naidu or Subbu and various other people. Look at the serious issues we face as a nation. Ask the following questions among the many that you will. How can we fight poverty and bring smile on the poorest child in the remotest village of India? How can we eliminate corruption in our society so that all the intended subsidies and the aid indeed reaches the people that is intended to? How can we build a fair society, a society wherein the well-fed, well-clothed child in urban India has as much chance to progress as the poorest, ill-fed, forlorn child in the remotest village in India? Think about how every Indian can exercise his or her right to a good education, the kind of education that you got at IIIT-B. Try to solve the many problems that you see in your daily life. Be proactive. So, my dear students, let me finally say that you are indeed the future of New India. Take on the world with confidence, even in these difficult days. Strive towards excellence, nothing but excellence in everything you do. Please do not wait even for a day. Start that excellence in your journey right today, because today is an important day in your life. Let me close with the words of Abraham Lincoln, who said, "It's not the years in your life that count, it is the life in your years that count." I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Ashok Sutta, Chairman Anna Narayanamurthy, Professor Sadagopan, teaching staff, other members of the governing body, members of the media, and the proud families of the graduating students. A welcome one and all. I have this privilege to stand before you on behalf of the graduating batch to bid farewell to the institute and the fascinating college life we've had. We are very excited in recalling the last theory hour, the last lab session, the last demo, the last assignment, and the last exam. The excitement today has taken a new form, a form of fear to leave home and step into a new world outside, a form of hope to make dreams come true, and a form of sorrow in missing our friends and well-wishers. I would like to acknowledge all the people who have made this journey memorable and who will remain great influences for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. I request Professor Balaji Parthasarathy to give the vote of thanks.
Honorable dignitaries of the dais, Dr. Madhavan Nair, Mr. Ashok Sutta, Chairman Mr. Narayan Murthy, Director Professor Sadagopan, members of the governing body, and Senate members. It is my privilege to be called upon to propose a vote of thanks for the 9th Convocation of IIIT-Bangalore. Dr. Madhavan Nair, we express our deepest appreciation for your presence here and for your words of advice and encouragement to the students. Mr. Ashok Sutta, your presence here has indeed been an inspiration. Thank you for taking time to grace this occasion. In spite of his many engagements, our chairman, Mr. Narayan Murthy, found time to attend one more convocation. You've been a great supporter of the Institute, sir, and we would like to express our gratitude for your constant guidance and encouragement. And to all the new graduates, hearty congratulations. Our best wishes to you as you set out on your careers, and we look forward to maintaining a lifelong bond with you as alumni and celebrating your successes in life. Congratulations again. Thank you to the parents, relatives, and other well-wishers of the graduates for being here to grace this occasion. We would also like to acknowledge the IT industry in Bangalore and around the world for supporting our students in their various endeavors. IIIT-B is also ended to the Government of India and to the Government of Karnataka for their unfailing support. And we're also grateful to our guests, alumni, and the press for their presence today. Last but not least, we acknowledge the active participation of the IIIT-B family who worked hard to coordinate this event. Our special thanks to the committed administrative staff, teaching assistants, security, and student volunteers. Thank you once again for being here today and making this event a memorable one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request our chairman, Mr. N.R. Narayana Murthy, to declare the convocation closed. Thank you, sir. I now request our chairman to give a memento to the chief guest. Now I request our chairman to give a memento to the guest of honor. Thank you. I now request the gathering to please kindly stand up for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Mr. Guests on stage, invited guests, media and delegates to kindly proceed for lunch at the main building, and the graduating students, parents and IIIT-B students towards the food court. Thank you. I request the audience to be seated till the dignitaries leave the dais. Thank you.